Live, it's the Bison Football Show. Valley News Live and Gate City Bank present the Bison Football Show with head coach Chris Kleiman.
They did it again, folks. The San Diego Toreros upset a Big Sky team, and at the end of the day, this did not look like an upset. San Diego demoralized Northern Arizona 41-10, and they are coming back to Fargo. This is a good team, folks, full of seniors and confidence. We welcome to the set head coach Chris Kleiman. Before we get to talking about the Toreros coming back, were you able to enjoy Thanksgiving a little bit?
Yeah, everybody was. We were able to get the players away for a few days, be able to get the coaches away for a few days, and we reconvened today and have practice this afternoon, and it's playoff football time.
How valuable was the bye week, do you think, this time around?
Well, I think it was really valuable to a lot of our guys that needed a physical break, but more importantly, needed a mental break. So the guys will be refreshed, ready to go today.
Well, San Diego's coming back, as we mentioned. We can't show video of their game due to NCAA regulations, but let's look at the score, see how they did it. They beat Northern Arizona 41-10. My goodness. And Daniel Lawrence, this quarterback, or Anthony Lawrence, excuse me, is up for the Walter Payton Award, 16 of 28, 228 yards, 3 touchdowns. And they have a freshman running back, Emilio Martinez, 20 carries, 117 yards, and a touchdown, 41-10. What do you make of that score, Coach?
Well, it wasn't an upset. The better team won, and without question, San Diego's done it 2 years in a row. And let's be honest, they would probably be a top 2 or 3 team in the Big Sky. They're just a better football team than a lot of those Big Sky schools, and I'm sure they battle against them in recruiting, so those kids have a chip on their shoulder, the coaches have a chip on their shoulder, and they went in and just hammered Northern Arizona in all phases of the game. And it's a confident football team. It's a group that has a lot of returning players, playoff experience now. They won a game last year, so you knew they were confident going into yesterday's game, and it showed. Yeah,
Anthony Lawrence, as I mentioned, up for the Walter Payton Award. 33 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's an experienced quarterback, top 5 in the nation in completion percentage, pass efficiency, touchdowns. He's a good player.
He's a really good player, and he does a great job of controlling their offense. And if you look at their offense, it mimics a lot of our things. They want to run the football. They're under center. They come out of a huddle. They utilize play-action pass. He's got a lot of weapons on the outside with tight ends and receivers, and then they want to run the football and play good defense. And so this is not a fluke. These guys are a really good football team.
Well, let's take a look at their tight end. This kid can play football. His name's Ross Dwelly. You look at the good tight ends around the country, of course, Goddard and Andrew Vollert from Weber State. But this kid from San Diego, Ross Dwelly, who has 47 catches, 636 yards, and 10 touchdowns. He's a big body. Last year, he did have the touchdown here in Fargo. They only scored 7. He had it. He's a good player.
Yeah, he really is. He has great hands. They put him on the line of scrimmage. They flex him out. They try to create mismatches on your linebackers and safeties because of his size and athleticism. They'll flex him out and try to get you one-on-one with a corner as well. He just does everything. And like I said, I think he's a really experienced player and has had a great season.
How good is the experience going against Dallas Goddard and other great tight ends in the Missouri Valley? How will that help in this game?
Well, obviously it'll help. It helps us in the fact that we play a tight end, and we play so many tight ends that our guys are so used to playing against tight end dominated offenses. And so this is another one that is the focal point of their offense. They want to run the football and get him the ball through the air, and so we'll end up coming up with good plans, and we have to know where he's at all the time.
Justin Priest is a receiver, very good, 71 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 13 touchdowns. He's fantastic, too.
Yeah, he is. He's a mismatch in the fact that he's 6'3". I think he's 215 pounds. You almost think sometimes when we're watching film, because sometimes it's hard to read, is that the tight end flex or is that the wide receiver? Because he has tremendous size. And I saw that against Northern Arizona yesterday. He had a couple of deep balls that he caught. They just went out in 50-50 balls, and he came down with them. And so they have a lot of weapons on offense, and I think it all starts with their quarterback and an experienced guy that has played an awful lot of football, and they're a well-coached team. They had some really good schemes against us last year. We were able to get the pick 6 to kind of get us jump-started last year, but this is a really good team.
Yeah, Jonah Hodges was their running back last year. He had 161 yards from scrimmage against the Bison in the Dome. This year, they go with a true freshman, Emilio Martinez, and Joseph Benda. They have a 1-2 combination there. Benda's a thicker kid. Emilio Martinez, 1,000 yards and 10 scores as a true freshman.
Yeah, they're just spreading it around more. You know, last year it was just Jonah was the only one we had to really face. This year, there's multiple guys coming in, and I think they have different skill sets. The one thing that's the common denominator is they all can catch the ball out of the backfield. They really hurt you with screens and some delay routes, and they run really hard. So I think they complement each other really well.
A good offensive line, too. Daniel Cooney from Illinois, 6'8", 315. Let's look at their defense. You know, we saw last year they play good defense. They have a kid in the NFL from that team last year, Jonathan Peterson, up for the Buck Buchanan Award. 22.5 tackles for loss, 15 sacks. He's leading the nation in both those categories. 29 sacks, 79 TFLs for these guys, tackles for loss. They know how to play defense.
Yeah, they're really aggressive. They're physical up front. I think you're right. The defensive end's a great player. We remember him last year. We had to know where he was at all the time, trying to get a tight end to his side and stuff. And you have 15 sacks and 22 tackles for loss. You're a productive player. And he doesn't have the great height. You know, he's 6'1", 240 with a great motor. And they really just terrorized Northern Arizona in the pass game. They just didn't have time to throw the football yesterday.
Yeah, and the eyeball test, he looks bigger than 240, plays bigger than that. He's a fantastic football player, certainly one to watch out for. Wears number 95. And their coach, Dale Lindsey, got to know him a little bit last year. Nice guy. He's doing it the right way there. They play tough, hard-nosed football, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. They're well coached in all three phases of the game. You know, they're really sound on special teams. He's got an NFL background. I think you can just tell he's in control. He gives his assistants a lot of freedom as well. And they're just a well-coached team, and there's not a weakness. And you can see that they've won the Pioneer League, and a lot of people may downplay the Pioneer League, but they're beating everybody 60-10 and 48-14. And I know Drake, there's a program I'm familiar with. I think they put 55 or 60 on those guys. They're pounding everybody in that league, and now they've won, you know, a playoff game in the last 2 years. So everybody knows who San Diego is.
You know, I think another interesting aspect of this game is it's the second time in the Dome for San Diego. We've seen it over the course of time. We saw it with Georgia Southern. Semifinal, they got run out of the building. The next year they came back, very tough game. And another example that we're going to show you here is Coastal Carolina. In 2013, it was a 48-14 game in the quarterfinals. The next year in the same round in the quarterfinals, it was 39-32, a much stronger game. San Diego is going to be more prepared this time, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are, and there's nothing to hide about those statistics that you just talked about, and the fact of your second time in here for a school that doesn't typically come in here like a Valley team. The players are more comfortable, especially if you have a returning quarterback, and that's what Coastal Carolina had, was a returning quarterback that just felt more comfortable. The noise, even though it's going to be a huge factor, they'll be maybe a little bit more used to it or know what to expect coming in here. I think sometimes people come in here the first time, they want to take pictures and see the sights and see this place. These guys are going to be coming in with one job, and that's to try to knock off the Bison. And so it's something that our guys know about, something we'll visit about today as far as that second time coming in for teams. But this will be a great matchup for us.
The fact that Lawrence is back at quarterback, how much more comfortable can a quarterback be with the noise and all the ambiance that the Fargo Dome provides?
Well, you always practice noise. We do as well, outside or in your indoor, practice facility, wherever it is. But you don't really know what to expect when you get to the Fargo Dome. He's going to be practicing the noise, knowing what to expect, and knowing, okay, how much silent count do they have to go to when he's under center? How much silent count do they have to go to when he's in gun? How can they attempt their motions and shifts and trades? All those things are a huge factor, and if you've been there and done that, it just makes you more comfortable the second time.
In the next segment, we're going to break down the brackets, so we're going to let you go, Coach. Wish you the best of luck this week to you and the guys in the preparation. It's going to be a fun week. The playoffs are back, so best of luck to you and the guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Jeremy.
All right, Jeff Ilias is on our Gate City Bank hot seat. We'll be back with some bracket breakdowns. Stay with us. All right, Jeff, what is the most enjoyable thing you did this past summer?
Definitely spent some time at the lake with the family and friends.
Okay. All right, you're from Lidgerwood, North Dakota. Tell me something cool about your hometown.
Everything we need and nothing we don't there, for sure.
All right, when it comes to phone usage, do you like to text or talk more?
I'd rather call someone and get the conversation done as fast as possible.
All right, this is a fan question. If you had to give up movies or video games, what would you give up?
Definitely video games. I wouldn't be able to do without movies.
Okay. If you were given $10 million, what would you buy first?
I would buy my dad a new pickup.
Nice. What makes a great leader?
Ability to relate to people.
Okay. What do you like most about the new locker room?
Everything. It's just 10 times better on every level. So.
What does the tradition of Bison football mean to you?
It means brotherhood, and doing anything you can for the guy next to you.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Welcome back to the show. We're going to take a look at the first round attendance this year, a significant jump up for the NCAA from last year's Thanksgiving games to this year's Thanksgiving games. Huge difference. In fact, plus 12,000. You look at the individual attendance numbers, the Nichols State-South Dakota game was the best at 9,612. Weber State and Western Illinois did very well, over 6. Last year, there were very few crowds, even over 4,000. This year, 6 of the 8 were over 4,000. These still look like small numbers, but last year it was 27,266 on Thanksgiving weekend. This year, 39,667. As I mentioned, that's plus 12,401. We're going to talk about the bracket now, and joining me on set here is Ryan Gellner, who does a great job on the sidelines for the NBC North Dakota Network throughout the season. And what do you make of those numbers? The numbers were a little bit better, but they're still pretty small.
They're up, yeah. You look at that bottom number, and you do think it's small, but when you look at last year, they are up, and I guess that's a good thing for this bracket. You get the right 24 teams in. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. And let's start to break down this bracket now. And as we're gonna start on the bottom half of the bracket, which is NDSU's side of the bracket. We're just gonna look at some of the scores here. I'm very impressed with Kennesaw State. They beat Samford 28-17. They got the little revenge factor going there. Kennesaw State gets the win, and South Dakota beats Nichols State 38-31. So South Dakota gets Sam Houston. Kennesaw gets Jacksonville State. I think very interesting numbers there. Kennesaw's plus 23 in turnover margin, #1 in the nation rushing the football. That will not be an easy game for Jacksonville State.
Yeah, Kennesaw can run the football, that is for sure. They can't stop the pass, though, and that seems to be a problem for them. They gave up 400 yards of passing yesterday. Jacksonville State, though, has struggled on offense. They don't score a ton of points, so yeah, that game might be closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah, defensive struggle a little bit there. And Nichols fumbles on the 1-yard line going in, just seconds left. At 38-31, South Dakota gets the win, but Nichols had first and goal at the 1 with about 24 seconds left, fumbled the football. I felt terrible for that kid. You have to feel bad when a game ends like that, but South Dakota survives.
Yeah, and they go as Chris Strevler goes, 378 yards, 4 touchdowns for Strevler. I think he's going to be the player of the year offensively in the FCS. They'll go as he goes, and in South Dakota right now, you want them in the playoffs because I like what Chris Strevler does, and if he continues to throw the football effectively and manage that offense, they could go a long way.
And how about South Dakota's defense struggling a little bit? Sam Houston, we know that they struggle to play defense. That game could be 60-50. First one to 50 might win that one. Let's look at the bottom half of the NDSU bracket, of course, and Furman Elon, what a great game that was, 28-27. Now Furman gets Wofford, and Furman and Wofford already played each other. And San Diego, we've talked about that game. San Diego's coming to the Fargo Dome this week. But Furman and Wofford, I find that to be a very interesting one. Wofford won that game on September 2nd, 24-23. Furman scored with 46 seconds left, went for 2, lost by 1. Here comes the rematch.
Yeah, Wofford's got a knack for winning close games. They've done it all season long. Both of those football teams, Furman and Wofford, love to run the football. That might be a 2-hour football game where they just both want to ground it out, see who the better team was. It happened once. It's the rematch of the Southland season opener, and we'll see if what rematch has in mind.
You know, Furman is a young team. I watched a lot of that Furman-Elon game. Young team. They're not great at anything. They're not bad at anything. They're just pretty solid across the board. Furman is going to give Wofford a test. There's no doubt.
Furman's got 2 really good running backs, Antoine Wilcox and Keelan Dirks. They both are bruising running backs, and yeah, they can get it done. They hold the football. They can score points.
Well, let's take a look at the top half of the bracket, which is the James Madison bracket, and we'll go through these here. Stony Brook beat Lehigh 59-29. Lehigh had a losing season but won the AQ in that Patriot League. They get James Madison. Now, James Madison and Stony Brook, same conference, did not play during the year. And the other game, Weber State beat Western Illinois. Great game, 21-19. Now, Weber State gets Southern Utah. Both teams in the Big Sky Conference. They played earlier, and Southern Utah hammered Weber in Ogden. This game will be in Cedar City, so a rematch there. A couple of interesting matchups in that part of the bracket.
It really is. We get to see what Stony Brook is about. They didn't get a shot at James Madison during the regular season. Now they do. Stony Brook plays really good defense. James Madison plays really good defense. So there's a matchup of defense. James Madison has given up just 9 points a game and 8 touchdowns all season long, which is just phenomenal. On the flip side, Weber State, they play defense.
Yes,
Defense gets it done in the playoffs. They're the best defensive team in the Big Sky. If they continue to play like they've been playing and play some defense, they get a shot in that game as well.
Yeah, Weber State plays physical, folks. That was a physical game with Western Illinois. Went right down to the wire. They went for fourth down a lot. They faked a punt, and the kid dropped it. They had a huge gain. Weber State, actually watching that game as I did, I thought Weber State could have got a little separation there. That score is a little deceiving. I thought Weber State definitely was the better team. Now let's go down to the bottom part of the James Madison bracket, and South Dakota State and Northern Iowa are going to get a rematch because Northern Iowa absolutely bloodied Monmouth, you know, and then we can go into the debate whether Monmouth should have been in the bracket or not. It appears not to be. Eastern Washington had to really be angry watching that game, 46-7. New Hampshire in a weird score, 14-0. I don't believe weather was a factor there, just a defensive game right there. But New Hampshire now gets Central Arkansas. A couple interesting games, and I think the one that really stands out is the rematch. UNI hammered South Dakota State in Brookings back in October.
Yeah, that was just a month ago, and Eli Dunn is playing such good football right now for UNI, threw 4 touchdowns the other day. And weather can be such a big factor at South Dakota State. Now, this weekend right now looks to be a nice day as far as South Dakota weather is concerned, but that can be such a factor. You look at that passing attack with guys like Weineke and Goddard. Who knows what's going to happen there? Revenge, obviously, comes into play there, and that could be the best football game of the second round.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially in their house twice in one season. So South Dakota State has a pretty nice matchup there. But you look at Central Arkansas. What do you think of them? I think they have a nice matchup here with New Hampshire to get into the quarterfinal round. They'll be heavily favored in that game. Central Arkansas is not a bad team.
No, the number 7 offense in the FCS. They hold their own on defense, and who knows what's going to happen in a game like that. New Hampshire was just lucky to be in, and now they're kind of playing with side money, trying to keep this thing going. And I agree with you. That is a weird 14-0 score. Not sure what to make of that. They'll grind it out. They only threw it 18 times, but picked up 3 interceptions defensively. And we've said it before, defense gets it done in the playoffs. New Hampshire played it first round. See if they can play it again the second round.
You know, this is the round where you start to see some potential upsets. Who would be the most vulnerable seeded team in the top half of the bracket? In the James Madison side of the bracket, who is the most vulnerable seeded team this week?
Why can't I ask you that question?
Yeah, Southern Utah is in a tough one, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really want to see what Stony Brook is made of. I think they've got the recipe where they didn't get to play James Madison. I kind of look at that game, and I really just want to see what Stony Brook is made of. And if they can hang with James Madison, give them a football game. I think that might be more interesting than it looks on paper.
What do you think the score of that South Dakota-Sam Houston game will be? 60-50?
It could be up there. Both teams can play offense, that's for sure.
Hey, thanks for your time, Ryan. Appreciate you coming in today. And hey, we have a great story that we showed earlier in the season. We're going to let you take another look at it. It's on Luke Bacon. He's from northern North Dakota. It's a great story about his hometown. You want to see it. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Small-town North Dakota kids dream of being a Bison. One day putting that jersey on, and when they achieve it, they have a whole town or county living the dream right along with them. This is for sure the case with Luke Bacon, a reserve lineman who has started at times this year, has worked himself into a key role by leveraging that farm kid toughness that we all have come to appreciate. Ben Barr has this week's Olaf Anderson Construction feature story.
Bison junior O-lineman Luke Bacon can do it all when he gets the call up front.
All those positions, you know, it's just, you know, I look at it schematically. I don't look at it as who I block. I guess, you know, some guys might think, all right, on this play, I just block that guy. You know, I think, all right, this is what we're trying to do schematically, you know, other than just one guy blocking one guy.
His versatility, if you do have that injury, if you do have a guy who comes out of the game, Luke is a guy that we can trust at those multiple positions. You know, Luke wants to be a coach someday.
Bacon honed his craft on the field and in the classroom at TGU, where he learned to make the leap from 9 to 11-man football.
The coaches kind of really talked him through, like the high school coaches. Like, these are some of the things you're going to need to learn. These are some of the, you know, pieces you're going to have to pick up as you go. And so they told him it's a process. You're going to have to learn a lot of things. He's done an awesome job. He's worked very hard, though, very hard for where he's gotten. But it's been just a fun time watching him.
He's a hard worker. He worked hard in the off season. He attended different acceleration programs and weight programs, and you know, as a frequent visitor to the weight room here, and both at his school and here. So, just his work ethic is a lot of the development that went into him came from that.
Growing up in small-town North Dakota taught Bacon the right values to eventually succeed as a Bison football player. He often comes back to inspire current TGU Titans.
I grew up on a farm that raised cattle, sheep. We had pigs and chickens and all this. It was like old McDonald's sometimes, but it was really neat because I know all those kids are the same kids I was. Same shoes, same desks, and for them to see that and be like, hey, that kid's doing, that guy I don't really know who he is, but he's doing that. That's really cool. Maybe I could do that someday.
That's something that we really want to leverage, is that hard work and that commitment that these guys just naturally have, and that's why I think they become successful on the football field.
His family, friends, and hometown are enjoying the ride in Fargo right along with him.
Swelled with pride. I mean, it's truly amazing to think of where he started, his high school career and whatnot, and then now playing for the Bison. It's an amazing thing, and we're just so proud of him.
Reporting for the Bison Football Show, I'm Ben Barr.
Great story. Well, we take a look at the quarterback spot in this week's Peterson Farm Seed Future Crop of Bison. Holden Hotchkiss is from Florida, big kid at 6'4". They came out of the powerful Lakeland High School program. He was the prized quarterback recruit in this past class. He says it's the offense and the history at the position that ultimately brought him to Fargo.
Well, I mean, obviously it's nice to go to a place where people are getting drafted second overall, but it was really just the offense that they run here, and it fitted Carson perfect. It fits me perfect, and that's what really sparked my interest.
Good luck to Holden as he works his way into the program. More on San Diego. We'll wrap up the show. Stay with us. The Toreros are coming back to Fargo. It's the playoffs, ESPN3 and ESPN College Extra only this week. The Bison Radio Network will be fired up. As we leave you, enjoy this time, folks. It's the playoffs. We have some regular season highlights to leave you with. See you next week.